All right. Right. 1 second. Just getting everything ready. Uh, uh. Okay, just set that to see all messages. Okay. Right. Let me just check audio, make sure. Okay. We're golden. We are golden. Alrighty. Let's react to some boomer nonsense. Your AR-15 will get you killed, you soldier wannabes.
American civilians love the AR-15.
Very loud.
No wonder, it looks like the M16, the primary weapon of U.S. soldiers for half a century.
There we go.
But misplaced confidence in this
nearly blew up my
eardrums. You see, millions.
Okay. Start from the beginning.
American civilians love the AR-15. No wonder, it looks like the M16.
Yes, very cool.
The primary weapon of U.S. soldiers for half a century. But misplaced confidence in this civilian gimmick gun can get you killed. You see, millions of folks.
Most interchangeable weapon parts in the USA. Gimmick. Most common rifle round in the USA. Gimmick. Very effective rifle round too. Gimmick. Gotcha. Sure thing.
Did not buy this rifle because it is the best tool for their needs. No, they purchased their ARs because they fantasize about being soldiers themselves.
Okay. Also the voice. The voice is fucking classy, right? Amazing. It's that typical voice that boomers love to hear in advertisements and shit. Oh my god. Wanna be soldiers. It's because they wanna be soldiers. Definitely not because of its cheapness. How easy it is to use.
Soldier wannabe, the AR-15 is the perfect costume prop. It even shoots real army bullets. This video exposes the truth about the AR-15 and reveals the telltale clues of the soldier wannabe. To find out if you're a wannabe,
soldier wannabe.
There are 5 main categories where soldier wannabes reveal themselves. But before all that, here's your first wannabe clue. If you have ever posed in the bathroom mirror with your AR-15, there's a good chance you're a soldier wannabe.
Pose with your weapons, King. Look dope as hell, King. Don't listen to this faggot.
Let's look at why the military went with the M16 in the first place.
Oh my goodness.
Of plastic and stamped metal parts. This makes it cheap and mass producible.
Exactly.
If you are equipping an entire army. Of course, civilians never see this benefit. In fact, gun manufacturers rake in their biggest profits from wannabes so desperate to feel like
you can build a basic bitch AR-15 for a little over $300. It's cost effective.
Real soldiers that they gladly pay top dollar for ARs. Second, the military wanted a weapon that was optimized for automatic suppressive fire. This high ammo use strategy was deemed critical for post-World War II infantry squad maneuvers and for pinning enemies in place so artillery or air support could destroy them. If you've never practiced live fire squad...
You need artillery if you want to buy a AR-15. That's the rules now, boys. You have to have artillery. And I think we should get to legalizing that soon. Director Herrera.
Maneuvers, and you don't have access to artillery or air support, score yourself a wannabe point. The military
Oh
went
my
with
god.
tiny, lightweight 22 caliber bullets. It was a difficult decision, but their big advantage was they offered controllable fire in automatic mode. Since the auto fire capability has been completely neutered on the semi-automatic AR-15, civilians never see this controllability benefit.
But yep, it's traveling so fast that it makes up for that. It, have you seen what? Have you seen any ballistics test? I'm thinking not. If you're this guy, you got to be pretty retarded to not understand. Fast, small bullet, go fast, hurt you bad. Oh goodness! Oh my goodness! This
If
is
you've never
terrible.
fired a rifle in true automatic mode, score yourself a wannabe point.
Can't you rent out automatic weapons at gun ranges for it's not that expensive either from what I have seen. So anybody can be a not wannabe.
Automatic suppressive fire burns through ammunition, and that's another reason why the military demanded the whole weapon system be lightweight. It allowed foot soldiers to carry more rounds over long distances. Now, if you've never carried your AR in a full combat load 9 miles in one day, score another wannabe point.
It's it it's really comfortable to lug around a AR instead of a 30-06 rifle, given the lightweight nature of the AR platform instead of the M1 Garand. Also, it's a really good ranch rifle. Really optimizable. You can put all sorts of stuff on it, like grips or foregrips, scopes. Take off your sights and scopes with just a hex key. Very easy. I'm sure he'll mention something about all this.
These choices meant they had to sacrifice long range lethality to get that short range automatic suppressive fire. So the M16 was only required to be effective out to 400 meters. If you haven't engaged targets at 400 meters with your AR, score another wannabe point.
4 football fields. Yeah, that's not a small distance either. God. 1 second. I'll just turn that off. That was my bad. Yeah, 400 meters, 4 football fields. That's a good distance. Also, I've heard of Marines taking shots much further than that on this rifle. Plus, you can get long barrels on AR-15s that extend the range of the gun. So, I'm not really getting what this guy is going at. And most people don't own over 400 meters of property. So, if you're defending your property, that's sort of ideal. 4 football fields covers everything.
The military has since learned that M16 rounds are really only reliably lethal out to 200 meters. Beyond that range, they lose too much velocity and don't consistently yaw fragment when they hit. This is the big gimmick the 5.56 round relies on.
Oh
Said another
no,
way, when an
guys.
AR-15 bullet slows to less than 2,500 feet per second, its wounding capability drops to about that of a 22 caliber plinking rifle.
Okay, that's bullshit. That is just bullshit. Okay, that's just make your lives more believable. Also, over 200 meters, you're still hitting somebody. Also, I don't believe it's just complete bullshit.
More on this problem later. There is a horrifying real-world example.
Also, shot placement is king in all these situations. It doesn't matter if you're hitting like a 22 LR. You hit somebody, you hit them.
Of the AR's non lethality. The cowardly 2017 Las Vegas mass shooter hit 480 people with bullets fired at long range from an AR. Fortunately, 422 of those good folks survived.
The weapon use is still debatable. Many people say that the fire rate is more similar to that of an M249 than the AR with a bump stock.
Looked at through the cold lens of combat effectiveness, though, that means, thank God, his
I'll have to look that up later though. I don't know for sure. So I'll check the video, listen to the sound, and then listen to the sound of an M249 firing and an AR with a bump stock firing.
AR was only lethal for 12% of targets hit. Would you trust a safety rope that failed 88% of the time?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Was only lethal. 422 of those good folks survived. Looked at through the cold lens of combat effectiveness, though, that means, thank God, his AR was only lethal for 12% of targets hit. Would you trust a safety rope?
Okay, so even if that is the case, you're taking people out of the fight whenever you shoot them. For the most part. If someone's on drugs, they're not really going to feel it. But all the AR has to do with that range is hit someone to take them out of the fight. It just depends on where you're hitting them. So we're not looking over whether someone was combat capable. But these are civilians. I mean, so there's no way to really tell. Unless we look at every individual medical report from that night.
That failed.
And I'm not doing that.
Of the time, maybe you've convinced yourself that the AR is a great hunting rifle.
It is.
So, score yourself a wannabe point.
Okay.
Before the recent AR-15 fanboy craze, its cartridges were always correctly considered to be varmint rounds. If you've got a real varmint problem,
hey, Raiden.
Okay, you can subtract one wannabe point. But only if you paid less than $500 for your AR. Still,
sorry.
Clever marketers are now trying to sell magical deer hunting cartridges for AR-15s. Take a look at their fine print, though. You'll see these miracle rounds shouldn't be used past 100 yards.
So it can still kill a deer. I mean, this hasn't disproven that the AR is a deer hunting rifle. You can still use it as a deer hunting rifle. You just have to be in the right position at the right time. Also, shot placement. You can hit a deer in the heart with a green tip. Very easily. Well, for some people it's easy. For some it's not. It might not be too easy for me. I don't know. I'll have to check my accuracy with my AR. Haven't fired it in a bit.
At least the marketers are not yet brazen enough to claim AR rounds can take down elk, bear, and moose. If you've convinced yourself that an AR-15 is a great home defense gun, rack up another point. The home defense scenario calls into play none of the AR-15 strengths. It's
lightweight is good. 30 rounds is good. And that other thing I'm sure is good, but I didn't see it.
A couple of yards down the hall. Its 30-round magazine is ridiculous.
Wait, so you're complaining about ranges at long distances. Now you're complaining about ranges at short distances. Isn't the shorter the distance, the more effective it would be? I mean, you got a 22 caliber projectile moving at extremely fast velocities. Also, are you about to complain about the 30 round count? I'm going to be mad if you're about to complain about the 30 round count.
Considering the average number of rounds fired in successful civilian self-defense incidents is 2.
Okay.
And the most common number of shots fired is 1.
Okay.
Its 200-meter effective range becomes a joke when you remember civilian self-defense shooting incidents almost universally occur at 4 to 12 feet.
Okay.
Way, shooting someone at 200 meters is not self-defense. That's murder.
It depends on the situation, I would think. If they're shooting at you from 200 meters, then you can shoot back at them, but you're obviously mentioning the Las Vegas shooting. So, okay, that was murder. Also, 30, I would prefer to have 30 rounds rather than one. I'd prefer anything over two. You're not supposed to bet your life on all the statistics. You have to take into account, you know, situations where people are on drugs. I remember an officer who was carrying, who shot a suspect about 30 times. Guy was still alive, and this was with 9mm. Dude just did not stop, had that shit in his system. Meth or something.
And according to the military, there's more bad news for the AR at short ranges. 85%.
Oh, good deal, Raiden. Are you putting any patterns on it?
Of 5.56 bullets don't do their yaw and fragment gimmick until traveling almost 5 inches through the target's body. In the field, this means they can pass right through enemies without mortally wounding them, even when the bullet is flying at full speed.
Okay, so I've seen an AR shoot through, like, with standard what is it? What's the standard weight? I think it's like, yeah, I forget grain weights. But it's like the most common 223 shooting through a wall breaks apart, meaning it's not going to over penetrate unless you have green tips in. That's why you have different magazines loaded. Also, 5 inches in, if you're shooting someone with an AR at 4 yards, it's not gonna matter. They're gonna fucking die. If you have 30 rounds, especially. Actually, white, blue icing tonight. So there will be no. I'm sorry to hear that, Raiden. I'll pray for you.
Army reports are littered with stories of our own soldiers easily surviving close-range friendly fire hits from 5.56 bullets.
Shot in the chest, inmate 5.5 round, automatic weapon, to the hospital several days after the accident had performed optimally. Okay, well, I just. Why is this not working now?
When the bullet is flying at full
Okay.
speed. Army reports are littered with stories of our own soldiers
Yeah.
easily surviving close
People
range
survive
fire
getting
hits
shot
from
sometimes.
5.56 bullets. It takes a wannabe to trust a gimmick gun for his home defense. If you've convinced yourself that the AR-15 is a great gun for preppers, score yourself another point.
Oh yeah. What would the most common rifle in the USA be good for in a prepping situation?
Not a great hunting tool or a home defense tool.
Wrong on both accounts so far, so we're doing good.
It's not reliably lethal at
It it's a bullet. You shoot a bullet over 200 meters, it's not gonna matter. Just depends on where you hit him.
over 200 meters, and it can't be concealed.
Why isn't it
Just what is a serious
sealed
prepper
if
gonna do with a gun?
it's a rifle?
That?
You don't conceal
If
it.
you said assault an enemy, score another point. First, a rational prepper would work very hard to avoid anything so stupid and dangerous. Second, why are you making enemies when you should be building alliances?
I don't know. Maybe I don't want to make friends with the communist pedophiles that Vouch is going to lead into the apocalypse. Vouch leading anything is just a joke. No, he's not. You're going to die 5 minutes after the apocalypse starts. Rank anime characters based off. See, would be to kill them. The real life weapons.
Biggest problem with the AR as a prepper gun is simple logic. By definition,
To kill them with real life was how easy it would be. Oh yeah,
An
pretty
SHTF
much.
situation is a resource constrained scenario. The whole idea behind the AR is high resource use suppressive fire. It is a
But you just covered that we don't have that ability with ARs. So yes, you would be able to find 223 556 pretty easily and scavenge it or reload it. There are a lot of reloading tools around.
gun built to burn through ammo. That's the opposite of what you want. The smartest SHTF strategy would involve tactics and weapons that use small amounts of ammo. Finally, we come to the AR-15.
You're gonna show sniper rifle shotguns. I think it'd be a little harder to find 12 gauge and 338 Lapua. 12 gauge less hard than 338, but it's whatever. I don't even think that was a 338. I think I don't know. I don't know. A lot of sniper rifles use much rarer stuff.
Militia boys, the biggest fools of the bunch. If you plan to use your AR-15 to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic, score yourself a big wannabe point. The first problem with choosing an AR for militia action is that you are trying to play an automatic fire game with a semi-automatic gun. In addition to auto
Tell that to Vietnam, Afghanistan.
fire rifles, grenades, and heavy weapons, all modern armies also carry belt-fed machine guns. If you've never maneuvered under direct automatic fire, score another point. I know not many civilians get a chance to do this, so here's a quick alternative test.
This is so bad.
If you've ever lost your shit when a bee comes near, there is no way you will keep it together under suppressive machine gun fire. But the number one reason why only a wannabe would choose an AR-15 as a
Level E. Yeah, pretty much, right?
militia weapon is level 4 body armor. It is specifically designed to stop 5.56 rounds.
And 30-06 black tip.
And it is standard issue for all modern armies.
Oh, come on. Have you seen this is before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I don't level 4 China? You think China's gonna have level 4 body armor in there? Okay, this guy is a fucking retard.
It takes a profoundly ignorant fool to choose a weapon that can't even penetrate the armor of his enemy.
And don't hit the armor.
If you believe you are the chosen one that can defeat level 4 body armor with your AR-15, score another wannabe point.
I am.
Even the U.S. Army
I'm the chosen one.
They are ditching the 5.56 round and the AR-15 platform. That's right. The military is done with the gimmicks, the problems, and the lack of real power. I will let the top brass explain.
Are we sure about that? Are we so sure? Are we sure? I don't think so. I certainly don't think so. Also, taking anything from General Milley? Seriously? Joke.
The 5.56 round simply does not have the mass to penetrate the body armor worn by the enemy. The American soldier needs a weapon that is effective against protected targets, and they also have to have a deadly effect at long ranges. I'm not gonna ask what your wannabe score is. The truth is, there's nothing wrong with dreaming about being a real soldier. So if you have the balls to admit you bought your AR-15 for fantasy fulfillment reasons, you have my respect. But if you still insist you bought this gimmick gun for some kind of serious purpose, all I can say is that if things ever get really real, your wannabe obsession with this neutered and obsolete costume prop is very likely to get you killed.
Oh my god, that was seriously retarded. I'm gonna have to watch more of this guy's videos. He said an AR is bad for hunting, home defense, self-defense, and for fighting, basically. Jesus. I cannot tell you how retarded that is. Alright. Alright. Let's let's see what his best apocalypse gun in the world is then. I can't wait. I'm gonna need another drink. Oh god.
The apocalypse. The end of the world as we know it. That day when the ship hits the sand. Many things could trigger a total collapse of society. The question is, if you could only bring one gun to
Not
survive,
Yellowstone. No,
which
I don't see
is
that.
the best pick? The truth is, when it comes to surviving the apocalypse, there is one gun that is clearly superior to all others.
I feel the same, Raiden.
Nothing else even comes close. That's a bold claim, but it's backed up by a tall stack of facts.
Oh
When I say
yeah.
apocalypse, I mean an epic, earth-changing event. One that completely unravels the fabric of society. Our modern food and supply chains break down. The rule of law is abandoned. Areas of the earth become uninhabitable, forcing mass human migrations. It's a time marked by years and years of unpredictability and chaos. In this kind of world, you need a versatile
1903 is pretty based, but only if you have a big stockpile of 30-06. Also, it's my dream gun.
weapon. A great apocalypse gun must kick ass in the following categories: self-defense, travel, ammo scarcity, hunting, and exotic threats.
Oh no, AR sisters, how could this happen? No! No! He didn't say that. The Raging Judge. Oh no, ammo scarcity? You think people are unironically stockpiling 45 Colt, 454 Casull, or 410? I can see 410 maybe, but Jesus. There are much better weapons in this situation. Oh, oh, this is bad.
Action revolver with a 6-inch barrel and an extra thick, extended 6-shot cylinder.
Oh my god.
It chambers 454 Casull, 45 Colt, and 410 shotgun shells.
Okay.
First, the 454 Casull, a 45 caliber bullet with an extraordinarily high pressure cartridge. This is one of the most powerful handgun rounds on Earth.
Okay.
A bullet's speed and weight determine how hard it hits. This is known as muzzle energy, and it's measured in foot-pounds.
Okay.
Here are the muzzle energies for common handgun cartridges, based on the specs for Hornady's best ammunition in each caliber. None of these handgun rounds generate enough energy to penetrate soft body armor. To punch through armor, you need the kind of power typically only generated by rifle rounds.
I got no fucking clue what's wrong with this guy. This fucking guy.
Here are the muzzle energies for AR-15 and AK-47 cartridges. Now, here's the 454 Casull. It shoots big bullets at blistering fast speeds.
Yeah, very cool. Monkey neuron activate, whatever, but it's not gonna be your SHTF weapon, seriously. Jeez. It's just like, big bullet, cool. Alright, have fun dying in the apocalypse.
Just like rifle rounds, Casull rounds zip through level 3A body armor. The same armor that stops all those handgun rounds, and even shotgun slugs. See the links for a video demonstration.
I thought you said attacking an enemy in the apocalypse was a shitty idea, and you're a wannabe. You know what? This guy's a wannabe. He's a wannabe soldier.
The ability to penetrate armor is essential for any serious apocalypse game.
Holy
now, all that power
Jesus.
means Casull rounds can blast through tough cover and still destroy whatever's hiding behind it.
Okay.
Now, the 45 Colt round. This is the cartridge the Cowboys used. By modern standards, it's underpowered.
Uh-huh.
Newer plus P rounds are a step up, that's not what makes this caliber useful. This is a maximum expansion round. It is a gigantic bullet.
Have fun fucking finding those in the apocalypse, boys. Have fun with your raging judge, or not judge. It's the I forget Taurus guns sometimes. The 454
guns that chamber 45 Colt and have an extended cylinder like the Raging Judge Magnum.
Yeah, Raging
when it
Judge.
Soft tissue, it instantly expands to a horrifying 1 3/4 inches. It is utterly devastating. No other handgun round in the world expands anywhere near that big.
We're going to be finding these bullets.
In home defense, folks worry about overpenetration. This problem could be even more of a concern when you're living in tents. Overpenetration is not a danger with maximum expansion rounds. When they hit, those opening petals act like brakes, and the round dumps all of its devastating kinetic energy in the body of the very first target.
Yeah, but not in the tent, right? It goes straight through that fucking fabric. Kills your best buddy. Too bad, Boomer.
Next, the 410 shotgun shell. The Raging Judge Magnum chambers both 2.5-inch and 3-inch cartridges. There are several types of 410 shells, but one of the best is the 3-inch triple-aught buck by Federal. This shell fires 5 pellets, each about the size of a 9mm bullet.
Doesn't shotgun ammunition like 410, 12 gauge, and a 410 in a revolver barrel, a revolver platform kind of suck though? It's designed for like shotguns. I think there was the video on this, but I'm gonna hold my judgment on that one.
Through the Raging Judge Magnum's 6-inch barrel, the pellets penetrate an average of 16.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
Back to the Apocalypse Challenge. The first key topic is self-defense. To get this right, you need to understand what really goes down in a gunfight. Real shooting incidents don't last long. New York City police records show that cops fire an average of just under 3 rounds per incident. For private citizens, that number drops to 2. And out of 484 incidents studied, only 3 involved reloading. That's less than 1%.
You should still prepare for this.
1. The first shots fired are the most important.
Let's go 45 70 revolver.
Magazines are not a priority. Now let's look at how the Raging Judge Magnum loaded 410 triple-aught buck stacks up against a popular gun like the Glock 17 9mm. At the first trigger pull, the Judge puts 5 9mm projectiles into the air, compared with the Glock's 1. By the time the Glock squeezes off a second round, the Raging Judge has got 10 projectiles downrange.
By the time you get to that second shot on the Raging Judge, the person with the Glock is going to let off about 5 rounds. It's going to be much more accurate than your Raging Judge.
With the third trigger pull, the Judge has launched 15, and the Glock's launched 3. At this point, the average incident is over. This was never going to be a fair fight.
Yeah, you're dead.
That looks great on paper.
You carried a revolver.
If you're smart, you're wondering about range and accuracy. Back to real gun.
In the apocalypse.
The New York City Police Department also kept records on engagement distances. 88% of gunfights and dog shootings occur at 21 feet or less.
Listen, revolvers in the apocalypse. Good idea, but I love revolvers. But it's just use something more effective.
The FBI studied 601 cases where law officers were killed by guns. They found 95% of slangs occurred at 15 feet or less, and no officers were killed from more than 25 feet away. The big takeaway here is that for self-defense, accuracy at over 21 feet is not a priority.
Again, prepare for further.
Raging Judge Magnum groups those 5 triple-aught pellets at 21 feet, 2 1/4 inches center to center. This would be a solid grouping of single shots at the range, and a miracle grouping for the first 5 shots of a gunfight. The next topic is ammo scarcity. During an extended apocalypse event, You may get separated from your stockpile of ammunition and be forced to scavenge or barter for ammo. Conventional wisdom says your apocalypse gun should fire the most common caliber cartridges.
5.56 9mm, 45 ACP. I can see someone using 40 Smith & Wesson and 380, but those will be rarer.
So you have a high likelihood of finding it if you need to. Here are America's most popular calibers ranked by sales revenue. You'll notice that 454 Casull, 45 Colt, and 410 shotgun
Good choice, Raiden.
are not on the list. But the Raging Judge Magnum has a few tricks up its sleeve. These adapters fit into its extended cylinder and allow it to fire 9mm, 22, 380 APC, and even 38 specials.
Yeah, every revolver can do that. You're not special.
Now, it's not the same as a true barrel, but it definitely works in a pinch. With this moon clip, the Raging Judge can also fire 45 APC with the...
You want to rephrase that? APC. I didn't know I could shoot armored vehicles out of it, but that's cool. Okay, maybe it is the best apocalypse gun, guys. Yeah, everybody can use moon clips too.
The full benefit of its 6-inch barrel. This means that the Raging Judge Magnum can fire 3 of the 5 most common calibers and a half a dozen others. There's much more to the ammo scarcity story, though. Over time, ammo will be harder and harder to find, and its quality will degrade dramatically, both through age and shoddy reloading. This is where revolvers really shine, and semi-automatic pistols and rifles can become a big liability. First,
and here's where Raiden has a great point. The Colt M17 revolver and 45 ACP that you can put barrel inserts in for 9mm and 22 LR, though I'm not sure how, I've never seen one fired like that. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. Check to make sure your gun's in good condition, and can do that first.
Revolvers capture all their brass, so it can be reloaded later if needed. Second, high-capacity semi-autos encourage firing many more rounds than are needed. Exactly the opposite of what you want in an ammo-scarce
Oh no!
environment.
I shot the terrorist 5 times instead of only 2. Whoopsies. It's not a really big problem.
When ammo is scarce, you want to end unfortunate encounters with one devastating and decisive shot. Third, and most important, even slightly crappy ammo can cause semi-autos to misfire, forcing the shooter into a two-handed clearing sequence where the weapon's aim is taken off the target.
So this guy's fantasizing about taking the Raging Judge into a post-apocalypse situation where he is going to get ambushed at over 200 yards at least and taken out by a rifle. This is ludicrous.
This is terrible, considering shooting incidents are typically over after the third shot. With a revolver, clearing a misfire is instant and instinctual. Just pull the trigger again. Only one hand is needed and the weapon can stay trained on the target. With crappy ammo, the Raging Judge offers one more unique advantage.
Because revolvers never jam, guys. Never.
Its extra thick high-pressure cylinder allows it to withstand the damage caused by botched reloads and compromised cartridges. Damage that destroys other weapons.
You ever seen a revolver cylinder explode? It's quite something.
The next topic is very important. Travel. During the apocalypse, foot travel will likely become unavoidable. And then, the 3 biggest considerations for an apocalypse gun become its weight, concealability, and one-handed use.
One moment here. Did Taurus pay for this video? Is this a Taurus ad? I hope this is a Taurus ad. I hope this is a Taurus psyop.
This is where long guns, like rifles and shotguns, start to become a liability. This shows the weights of common long guns compared to the weight of the Raging Judge Magnum. Is it fair to compare a handgun to long guns? I've already shown that Kasul cartridges are more powerful than two of these rifles. Ballistic gel tests show that hollow point Kasul damage is comparable to 12-gauge slug damage.
30
So yes,
rounds,
it's
6
more than
rounds.
At
Eh.
4.5 pounds, the Raging Judge is beefy for a handgun. That weight, by the way, significantly reduces recoil.
You don't have a
Heavy
butt
as
stock.
it may be, it is still significantly lighter than the long guns. Concealability is also very important.
You could add a
There
butt
will
stock.
be situations
but-
where you do not want to announce to the world that you are carrying a firearm. A serious apocalypse gun must be able to fit in a small pack or under a car seat. Whether you need your
No.
other hand to do something or carry something, one-handed weapon operation can be very important.
I've got the solution.
Next up, hunting.
Carry a rifle and a pistol, maybe.
During an apocalypse, you will need to hunt for your own food. An apocalypse gun must be able to effectively harvest everything from big animals like elk to smaller game like coyotes and squirrels. The 454 Kasul round has long proven itself capable of harvesting large game.
Oh, look.
It's effective.
Another area where a AR could be useful. Hunting. Base. City, just in case. 4, 10, 22 LR. That's the day I realized that was a true gun. Sounds like you had a prophetic vision, Raiden.
Range can stretch out to 150 yards. When it comes to medium game like coyotes, turkey, and small deer, you can step down to the 45 Colt rounds. The effective ranges here are between 25 and 100 yards.
45 Colt for deer? Maybe out of a rifle length barrel. But again, an AR and shot placement is really all you need.
When it comes to small creatures, the Raging Judge Magnum has two options. At ranges of 10 feet or less, 410 birdshot loads are effective. At ranges of 10 to 30 feet, 22 rounds fired from the cylinder adapters are a suitable option.
How accurate
This
is
also
that,
allows you
though?
to fire quiet subsonic 22.
It's just the rifling is just the conversion in the cylinder, right? So, how accurate is that going to be at a good deal of range? Like, how far is that going to be accurate? I don't have a lot of confidence in that.
This is great if you don't want to call attention to yourself. The final category is exotic threats. Pop culture has spun up some wild fantasies about the exotic threats that could arrive with an apocalypse. Many are downright silly. What's not silly is the idea that bizarre and unforeseen things can happen when the world is in turmoil.
Like needing 30 rounds in magazine? Yeah.
There's no way to know what those things might be, but a good apocalypse gun should be able to handle these three broad categories of exotic threats. First, big and dangerous threats. Perhaps it escaped from a zoo or a lab. Maybe it was forced out of its natural habitat. It could have even come from another planet or dimension. No matter where the big guy came from, you need heavy projectiles that can smash through bone or armor and penetrate deep enough to hit vital organs. This 400 grain hardcast round penetrates 45 inches in ballistics gel. That's close to 4 feet. Only rounds that can hammer down that deep can give you a fighting chance against really big threats. The ability to make several fast follow-up shots is also essential.
You are gonna have a tough time controlling that recoil, my friend. I don't care how heavy that judge is.
The second type of exotic threat is small swarming things. Single bullets are ineffective against swarms of birds, insects, and bats. For this type of threat, 410 shells packed with birdshot are a strong response. A 3-inch number 7 shot shell carries over 200 pellets and can bring down multiple small targets at once. The last type of exotic threat is creatures with special resistances and vulnerabilities. A fantasy example is a werewolf's resistance to normal bullets and its vulnerability to silver.
Where the fuck are you gonna find a silver bullet?
A real-world example is a snail's vulnerability to salt. In the apocalypse, it might be aliens that are only vulnerable to magnesium. Again, the Raging Judge Magnum does not disappoint. It is very easy to convert its 410 shotgun shells into wax cartridges that carry custom payloads. Wax slugs create vicious wounds.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
Custom contents
But
directly into the body of whatever they hit.
we're talking about fantasy creatures here?
The one apocalypse firearm that's better than all the others. It's not perfect, and there may be guns out there that beat it in categories. But when it comes to the complete apocalypse challenge, including self-defense, ammo scarcity, travel, hunting, and exotic threats, there's no other firearm out there that comes anywhere close to the Raging Judge Magnum, the best apocalypse gun in the world.
This motherfucker said werewolves, aliens, mutants, like they were all real threats. I shit you not. What the fuck? Alright. I'm hoping some of these videos are less offensive to my sensibilities. But let's see. Effective armed self-defense. Setting the record straight.
Armed self-defense. It's a topic riddled with myth and misunderstanding.
1 second. This motherfucker audio balances terribly. Jeez. Every video it's like I gotta adjust the audio.
Anecdotes and extreme edge cases often drive new preppers and even longtime gun owners to set misguided priorities for self-defense equipment and training. Who can blame them? Movies and video games pump us full of fantastical ideas about gunfights. Gun salesmen work our insecurities to upsell us on more expensive models. Wannabe soldiers and cops get confused about the mission of the self-defender, and their loud, unyielding opinions stoke the infamous internet herd mentality.
I couldn't stand it with how he talks, right? And he talks like an absolute dipshit know-it-all. I fucking hate that.
What's missing is real data. Several years back, Claude Warner analyzed 482 successful defensive gun use incidents, as reported over 5 years in the NRA column The Armed Citizen. He wanted to cut through the BS to see if there are any trends with the folks who got this rare life and death situation right. Now, some say the data from his analysis...
That's fair, Aiden. That's fair. I'd slap this faggot in the back of the head every time I got a chance to.
This is too old to be relevant. They don't know what they're talking about. You see, Warner didn't stop at 482. His growing database now has over 5,000 entries. If you look at his blog posts on recent shootings, you'll see things haven't changed, and the conclusions he came to with his original report have only grown more solid. Warner's not just some random numbers nerd. He's retired Army with 10 years in special operations. He was chief instructor at the elite Rogers Shooting School. He's got a master classification on 4 weapon types with the International Defensive Pistol Association.
Alright.
And he is currently an NRA certified weapons
instructor. NRA cert, guys. NRA cert. He's a pro. NRA cert. Who hasn't been relevant since the 1980s.
Knows his stuff. All his incidents involved private citizens acting in self-defense or the defense of others. Most incidents took place in the home. The next most likely place was a business, then public places, then in or around vehicles.
You didn't read one of my comments? No. You could bully him. That was, if we're back in school, this would definitely be the guy I'd slap in the back of the head while I'm getting off the bus. just on my way out the door. Not gonna worry about it every time I get off. Which one didn't I read?
Importantly, shots were fired by defenders in only 72% of Warner's incidents. That means a whopping 28% of the time, the defender was able to defuse the situation by merely drawing their weapon and verbally challenging the criminal. This brings up the first of several misplaced training priorities. Even though a positive resolution with no shots fired is by far the best and most desired outcome, few gun owners or even firearms instructors ever think to drill on the skills needed to do this right.
That's really opinion based.
It may sound like a no-brainer, but when the adrenaline is pumping and you don't have a plan, things can go south quickly. Screwing
Actually. Oh! The actually woke me up. I literally went, that's not the right gun, and immediately woke up. It woke me up. Okay. Okay. Now I read it. That was the reaction to the 454 Cthulhu Raging Judge. Yeah. Yeah. that this guy is actually insane or stupid or both. Actually, both might be most likely.
This up can get you shot, get you disarmed, or land you in serious legal hot water. Now, the weapons deployed. Warner's successful defenders primarily used handguns. They wounded attackers in 29% of incidents and killed at least one assailant in an additional 34%. Smaller caliber guns, that's the 380s and below, scored a surprising 30% one-shot instant kills.
Must have good aim.
In fact, smaller caliber guns were used successfully about a quarter of the time. The 35 caliber family was the most common size deployed.
Yep.
This includes 9mm, 38s, and 357 Magnum.
Most common round, 9mm.
The least common size used were the big boys. Altogether, 85% of successful defenders use something smaller than a 40 caliber. This shatters the myth that a big bore gun is required to effectively defend yourself. It's far more important to have a weapon you are likely to carry and are comfortable shooting.
I am very comfortable shooting my 1911. I'm actually much more accurate with it than my Glock.
Next, engagement distance. The science of proxemics defines different zones of human interaction. Warner says that shootings and gunfights involving private citizens almost universally occur in social space. That's 4 to 12 feet. Most offenders will make the decision to shoot shortly before the criminal comes within arm's length. This busts long-standing myths related to target practice at the shooting range. The traditional shooting distances and aiming stances
not for civilians. I love how he added that, not for Alright.
This busts long-standing myths related to target practice at the shooting.
My evil grandma made him give away his guns. Family heirloom pistol is an air gun. Oh, that fucking sucks, Raiden. I hate to hear that. Dude. Should've chose the guns over Granny. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call that.
Range. The traditional
yeah, fucking not for civilians. Civilians, don't practice this. You see all this over here? Don't. You shouldn't practice. No. Ah, shit. I hate to hear that for you, Raiden. I really do. That sucks.
Shooting distances and aiming stances may be important for law enforcement officers, but they bear little relation to the real-world shooting tasks citizen defenders actually have to perform. The mission of police and military shooters requires them to fully subdue their targets. Citizen defenders have a much easier mission. They only have to survive the encounter. Now let's look at weapon carry. Only 20% of the time did defenders have their weapons on their bodies when the incident started. The other 80% of the time, they had to retrieve their weapon from some place of storage.
Okay.
Here's how retrieving from storage versus weapon carried on body breaks out by location for successful defenders. Just look at the numbers for home defense.
Oh no.
Self-defense incidents rarely occurred in quarter-second intervals, or what the pros call reaction time. Most commonly, criminals performed a monkey dance, slowly circling their intended victims and communicating with them without attacking. This went on long enough that defenders often even had time to access weapons that were stored in other rooms.
You can't fucking count on that though, man. You can't count on that. Oh yeah, I hope my attacker is going to be merciful enough to let me retrieve my fucking gun from storage behind these 6 locks. Just like fucking his mom. Yeah, this guy was definitely not, I bet this is just, wow. It's enlightening to listen to someone stupider than me for once. I'll tell you that much.
This highlights some equipment and skills that would-be defenders often fail to prioritize. Most everyday citizens understand that always and everywhere concealed carry is not practical or desirable.
Okay.
It is possible and wise to train around that truth. Preppers often worry about multiple attackers, especially bands of raiders coming to their home during SHTF conditions. Warner provides some insights here too. 36% of his incidents involved multiple conspirators. In these cases, the most common group was a 2-man action team. If there was a third man, he was typically the driver of a getaway vehicle. There seemed to be no cases in which the driver acted as a reinforcement once the shooting started. If there was a fourth man, he was most often stationed outside as a lookout. The outside actors did not appear to be armed. At the sound of gunfire, immediate flight was the most common response for drivers and lookouts. The largest group in the study was a gang of 7. This is the Prepper's band of raiders scenario. In that case, an alert and prepared homeowner saw the bad guys invade an adjacent home and accessed his shotgun. When they broke
so he had the gun before they broke in.
in his door, he killed 2 and wounded 1. The rest promptly fled the scene. Remember, armed bandits are looking for victims.
See there, boys? Always have a gun ready. Somewhere safe, but somewhere you can access it immediately in the house.
What they are not looking for is a fight. Warner's analysis found that dying from wounds or immediately fleeing were the criminals.
Hey, concealed carry in a pool, man. It's your life. I'm not gonna live it for you. But, yeah, just make sure you got some of that anti-rust stuff on there. That CLP, the good stuff.
2 most common responses to being shot. Upon the criminal's flight, the defenders frequently chased and captured the criminals and held them for authorities. Not training on this can also lead to real trouble for self-defenders. Now for one of the most interesting data points of the study, the number of shots fired. The average number of shots successful defenders fired was just 2.2. And the mode, or the most common number of shots, was 1. This destroys 2 myths. First, that you need a large stockpile of ammunition for self-defense, and second, a high-capacity magazine is essential for a self-defense gun.
Yeah, man. Someone breaks into your house, just, they're putting their life in your hands.
When more than 2 shots were fired, it generally appeared that the defender's initial response was to fire until empty. Firing until empty is a terrible strategy for self-defenders.
Why?
First, you should never fire more rounds than are needed to stop the threat.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't realize that the threat is stopped until you've emptied your magazine. It really depends on the situation. The more rest you've gone, the more incommodate it is. the more incompetent it is. I've never heard that word before.
Prosecutors and juries appreciate restraint. Second, you are legally responsible for every bullet that leaves the barrel of your gun, including any that accidentally hit innocent bystanders.
Intimidating. Okay.
Of the 482 incidents, only 3 required reloading. This busts the myth that carrying multiple magazines and speed reloading drills are a priority for effective self-defense.
You should still have them on you.
The mission, needs,
Prepare.
and legal status of police and military shooters are very different from those of private citizens. That means the gear and training priorities are going to be very different as well. Warner notes that his analysis of positive outcomes only paints the picture of what successful armed defense incidents look like. He concludes his analysis by saying the potential victim's mindset and situational awareness was far more important than the gear and equipment they used. He offered the following methodology for successful armed self-defense. 1. Be aware. 2. Be willing to fight. 3. Have a weapon accessible. 4.
Yeah.
Be familiar
not in a fucking safe
with the weapon to employ it without fumbling. 5. Communicate to the attacker that resistance will be given. And 6. If the attacker does not withdraw, counterattack without hesitation.
I mean, there's some shitty states where you legally have to have a safe and have your gun in it, and then you have to run to it. But, yeah. Tough luck. Move to a better state. I like his video backgrounds, but not his videos. Why can't a good YouTuber do stuff like this? I don't know. Sometimes, retards have the right image, the right themes, but not a good message. Last video, brothers. Last video. Let's go. Let's do this. Ammo stockpiling. Busting myths with data.
So-called experts love to pontificate on the amount of ammunition preppers should stockpile.
That's you, boys. If you stockpile ammo, that's you. I'm looking at you. If you stockpile ammo, you're a big fatty. You big fat fatty. That's you. Meal Team 6 over here.
Some say 500 rounds per gun. Others say 1,000. Still others scoff and say those numbers are child's play. This video
God bless, Raiden.
looks at real-world data to cut through the BS and determine what a smart investment in ammo really looks like. There are 4 primary rationales used for stockpiling ammunition: self-defense, hunting, militia activities, and perhaps the worst idea ever, using ammo for barter. First, self-defense.
Okay.
In
Let's hear it.
2018, only a minuscule percentage of U.S. citizens actually fired guns in self-defense. Cops confront criminals daily, but most have never fired their weapons in the line of duty. Smart preppers also know to avoid gunfights like the plague. But if you must fight, it's good to know how many shots you should expect to fire when guns are drawn. A New York City police report based on more than 3,600 shooting incidents showed that cops fire an average of only 2.9 shots per incident. Claude Warner surveyed close to...
Was that a Canadian accent for a second there? This guy sounds like a Canadian trying to sound American.
500
I'm listening to you.
successful firearm self-defense reports, 36% of which involved multiple assailants. He found successful civilian defenders fire an average of only 2 shots per incident.
Yeah?
Greg Elifrit studied more than 1,700 real-world gunfights. He determined that all weapon types incapacitate aggressors with an average of less than 2 head or
Uh-oh. AR brothers, we are so back. The AR has redeemed itself, it seems.
torso hits. There will always be outliers on the high end, but that's 3 different real-world sources with large sample sizes, all saying you can expect to fire an average of 3 or fewer shots in the rare event you are ever in a self-defense
He's a
gunfight.
communist
But that's
Canadian.
today.
People like
What
him.
about after
Why I
SHTF?
want to leave. Yeah, man. Hey, you're welcome to America. Just hey, don't live in a shitty state in America.
The American Wild West, with its homegrown law enforcement, guns, gangs, and violence, is the best historical example we have of a real SHTF-like situation. Here are the Wild West's most prolific gunfighters and their legendary kill counts. Now, here are their actual, historically verified numbers of kills. It's important to understand that
Hell yeah, brother. Yes.
these men represent the extreme highs of gunfight participation for the time. By today's standards, they would all be considered psychopaths. Out of these 5 record-setting Wild West killers, only 2 are verified to have been in more than 10 gunfights. So, 10 gunfights times an average of 3 shots per fight comes to just 30 rounds. Even if you panic every time and fire an average of 10 rounds per gunfight, that's still only 100 bullets.
Alright.
Folks playing too many video games.
Oh, video games are why you guys are stockpiling ammo. You losers. You fucking losers. Stop playing video games, nerds. Are you kidding me? Guys, you shouldn't have more than 100 rounds, let alone 10. What a retard. Oh my god. This guy's insufferable.
That think you need more than that for self-defense. One more thing. It turns out murdering lots of people has some fairly predictable consequences. Next up, hunting.
They always are, Aiden.
Just because you plan to hunt, it does not mean you're going to be successful. More than 105,000 hunters registered for the Oregon 2017 deer season. Only 25,000 deer were harvested that year. That means more than 80,000 hunters went
We all
home
are, Aiden.
empty-handed. Finding game will only get harder during SHTF because every fool with a 9mm pistol or a shotgun will also be out there trying to murder animals.
Listen to how he said that, though. They'll be out there trying to murder animals. Are you kidding me? Is this guy for realsies? Is he? Seriously? One sec.
Will only get harder during SHTF because every fool with a 9mm pistol or a shotgun will also be out there trying to murder animals. The Alabama DNR notes that deer were almost hunted to extinction in that state during the Great Depression. Given these stats, you don't really want to rely on gun hunting as your sole source of protein. Trapping, fishing, and raising livestock are much more reliable and don't consume
it is called
resources.
hunting. I thought the same
Let's
thing.
imagine there is game available and you are luckier or more skilled than 75% of hunters. The next question is, how many deer can you expect to harvest? The Ohio DNR did a study on successful hunters. They found that only 27% bagged more than 1 deer, and less than 1% bagged more than 5. 5 deer, by the way, can be turned into close to 1,000 meals.
Hell yeah.
Now, good hunters know 5 shots are required to harvest the first deer of the season. 4 to zero their weapon, and 1 to kill the animal. This means that the most elite deer hunters will fire about 10 rounds per season. The vast majority of folks will fire 4 to 6. If the SHTF scenario lasts 30 years, you wouldn't need much more than 300 hunting cartridges. A hunting strategy based on small game like rabbits would require obvious adjustments. If you are prepping for an event that lasts longer than 30 years, it would be wise to invest in hunting technologies with naturally renewable ammunition, like bows or blowguns. Remember, humans somehow managed to survive for hundreds of thousands of years before firearms were invented. Next, militia actions. Let's be clear. Fighting a personally funded militia war against an invading modern military force is an absolute dead-end strategy.
Wait, I need to hear that again.
Humans somehow managed to survive for hundreds of thousands of years before firearms were invented. Next, militia actions. Let's be clear. Fighting a personally funded militia war against an invading modern military force is an absolute dead-end strategy. The
Okay, but if it comes to blows, it comes to a situation where you have to fight the military, then you have to fight the military. That's just how that situation is. Of course, I wouldn't. You would use Vietnam and Afghanistan tactics of, guerrilla tactics.
government's resources and equipment will always be vastly superior to whatever you can scrape together as a civilian. The notion that a civilian AR-15 and a 200-round combat load can blaze a path to victory against a modern military force is nothing but a glorious fantasy. In 2008,
Here with the playing army thing again. This is ridiculous. Look, in the picture, those were the guys. Those were the ones who caused the pullout of Afghanistan. Remember that? Remember that? Kind of a serious point in the situation.
Afghan militia fighters managed to kill only 14 of the 8,475 U.S. troops stationed there. Of those 14, just 6 soldiers were killed by small arms fire. 6. That means, despite firing hundreds of thousands of rounds, militia riflemen only managed to kill a pathetic 0.0007% of the military force occupying their country. The fact that modern military forces are...
I'm different. I'm built different. I've only watched anime on Netflix and YouTube. SKS is for everyone. I really want to get me an SKS. I really need to get me one. But the prices have gone up. It's ridiculous. There are millions more guns here than there. Yeah.
Equipped with level 4
no
body
kidding.
armor is a key reason for the spectacular failure of militia riflemen. This protection is specifically designed to stop 5.56 and 7.
If someone's carrying that, then they're going to go through heat stroke before I have to deal with them. I can just outrun them. It's going to be easy. Also, I carry some of that gear. It's not too bad, but you can definitely feel the difference.
62 rounds. Considering the state of the modern battlefield, it wouldn't matter if you hoarded 1 million rounds of AR-15 ammo. Those munitions are simply not effective against today's soldiers.
Again, with the Chinese and Russians, they don't have level 4 plates. At least not in big supply. Not for their basic bitch infantry.
You might as well stockpile spitballs. If your survival is important to you, armor is a much smarter investment than ammunition. Sniping is the one potentially effective militia rifle strategy.
Armor over ammo, okay. Okay. Sell your cloak and buy a sword, as Jesus once said, I believe.
The greatest sniper of all time is Simu Haya. Finnish military records show that he tallied 259 sniper kills.
You aren't Simu Haya.
The War of 1939. His sniping career ended after only 119 days when he was shot in the face and permanently disfigured. So, if you think you can...
They performed reconstruction surgery on his face, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Match the very best sniper in the history of mankind, you won't need more than 300 rounds to prove it. Finally, some people stockpile ammo thinking they will use it to barter with.
I mean, yeah.
This is a terrible idea.
I mean, I've traded things for ammo. I'm doing it. People are doing it now. How's that a bad idea?
Bartering with ammo will primarily attract two types of customers. First, the desperately unprepared. People with no ammo are not likely to have anything else of value to trade to a well-prepared person, and you've got to ask yourself what they plan to do with the ammo you give them.
No,
Do you really
I mean,
want to top off the magazines of all the random desperate souls who wander through your community?
Sailor
Common
Moon
sense
Crystal
dictates that you
was the
should never
first
barter
anime
away something that can
watched
be
on- There was an episode about an empress. Huh.
to kill you. That brings up the second group, the dangerous. These folks will be looking for ammo because they use a lot of it. That means they're likely criminals or those prone to violence.
Okay.
Bartering out ammo to them is about as smart as setting up a free-range rattlesnake ranch next to a daycare center.
I'm not planning on being
The
a
worst part of
merchant,
bartering
but
ammo is that it is a bright, shining advertisement to criminals saying that you are the one who has exactly what they want most. That's not a theory. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms says thieves often see gun dealers as easy targets. Their data shows gun store thefts are rising.
using ammo as currency is a fucking good. It's a good idea too, though. It's probably one of the best ideas ever. Luke 22:36. He said to them, "But now if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one." Yep.
And the smash and grab techniques are growing more bold. These fellas didn't let anything stop them from getting what they wanted. During
It's at night,
SHTF,
when
where
no
you
one's
had
there.
The security to stop a raid like this, they were in and out in 30 seconds. Why would you invite this kind of trouble when the world is already awash with chaos?
Okay. Wait. I don't plan on settling down with the store if we're in that kind of a situation. Also, if it's not SHTF situation, then I'll just use my typical home defense plan.
Finally, if you think through the problem of paying soldiers and guards, you will understand why no one in history has ever used ammunition as currency. So, how much ammo should you stockpile? That answer is easy. Stockpile as much as you want to.
You're damn right I will. And fuck you for trying to make me feel stupid with your fucking ridiculous premises. Oh my god. You're so fucking idiotic. Fuck you. It's called a short whiskey because that's how much whiskey you could buy with one bullet. In the Old West, we used bullets as money before. We'll use it again, bitch.
Just don't get
Damn
fooled
straight.
into buying more than you really need.
I need over 10,000 rounds of ammos. Jesus. I feel like my brain has completely rotted after listening to all this fucking bullshit. Thanks for keeping me company, Raiden. And thanks to everyone who watched. Adios, muchachos.